2 weeks after Damian vanished into the rain, Noah tried to rebuild what was left, a quiet life, a fragile peace. But peace doesn't last when the past knows your name. This time, danger doesn't just knock, it breaks the door down. And when love returns carrying both secrets and scars, Noah must decide. Will he run again, or finally face the shadows that never stop chasing his heart? Don't forget to subscribe to Sweet Serenity BL for more breathtaking stories. Like, share, and subscribe. It had been 2 weeks since Damian Voss walked out of my door. 2 weeks since silence replaced the chaos he left behind. London didn't change much. It still smelled of rain and smoke, the sky always gray, like it carried the weight of everyone's secrets. But somehow, I had changed. Every morning, I told myself to move on. I told myself to breathe, to smile for Jamie, to forget the way Damian's voice had cracked when he said goodbye. But forgetting was never my strong suit, especially when every street corner whispered his name back to me. Jamie's laughter was the only thing that still felt pure. That morning, he was sitting by the window, building a tower with the same colorful blocks Damian once admired. His tiny fingers trembled with excitement. "Look, Mama, it's taller than me." I forced a smile. "It's perfect, love. Just don't let it fall." He giggled, and for a moment, I allowed myself to believe we were okay, that the storm had passed. But peace in my world never stayed long. The first knock came at noon. 3 gentle taps, spaced apart. I froze, the same way you freeze when lightning strikes too close. My hands were still wet from washing dishes, but my heart had gone dry. I told myself it could be the landlord, or maybe Mrs. Henderson from next door bringing scones again, but something inside me already knew. When I opened the door, there he was, Damian Voss, rain dripping from his hair, eyes heavy like he hadn't slept since the night he left. He stood with his hands visible, like he wanted me to know he came in peace. "Noah," his voice cracked on my name. "Please, just listen." The air thickened between us. Behind me, Jamie's laughter quieted. "You shouldn't be here," I said, though part of me had been waiting for this knock every day. "I know." He took a step forward. "But I can't stay away anymore. I need to explain." I almost slammed the door. Almost. But there was something in his eyes. Fear, maybe, or guilt, that made my fingers freeze on the handle. Damian Voss didn't fear anything, so whatever had shaken him must have been worse than heartbreak. "You think showing up drenched and sorry changes anything?" I said. "You disappeared for years, Damian. You didn't call, you didn't write, you let me believe you were dead." His jaw tightened. "It was the only way to keep you alive." I blinked. "What?" He glanced over my shoulder, toward Jamie's room, lowering his voice. "There are things you don't know, Noah. The people I worked for, they found out about you, about him. If I hadn't left, they would have come after both of you." My breath hitched. "What are you saying? That this is some spy movie confession?" "I'm saying the danger isn't over." His tone was firm now, the same voice that once commanded entire rooms. "They've started watching again. I saw someone outside your building last night. Same car, same man I thought I got rid of 3 years ago." My hands began to shake. I looked toward the window, half expecting to see a shadow moving through the fog. "So what now? You show up after vanishing for years and expect me to trust you because you're scared?" "No," he said softly. "I expect you to let me protect you, even if you never forgive me." I wanted to scream, to throw the words "I don't need you" right in his face, but my throat refused. Instead, I felt the tears I had sworn not to cry again sting behind my eyes. I hated how easily his presence still disarmed me. Behind us, Jamie peeked from the hallway, clutching his toy dog, Mama, who's at the door. Damian's face softened. "Hey, champ." His voice faltered with emotion he tried to hide. "You remember me?" Jamie nodded slowly, eyes curious. "You're Mr. Damian. You brought the blocks." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Go back to your room, love. Mama's talking." He obeyed, skipping back down the hall. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. Damian exhaled shakily. "He's grown. He's beautiful. He's mine," I said quietly. "He stopped asking about you months ago." "Don't start what you can't finish." Damian's gaze lingered on me. "Unreadable. That's just it, Noah. I have to finish this. I can't keep running, and neither can you." Something in his tone, a mix of warning and regret, made my heart race. I looked past him, down the narrow corridor of the building, but the hall was empty. The only sound was the rain tapping faintly against the roof. "Are you saying someone's following us?" I asked. He nodded once. "Yes. And if they know about Jamie." "Don't." I raised a hand, cutting him off. "You don't get to scare me back into your life." He stepped closer, voice low. "This isn't about us anymore. It's about him." That single sentence hit harder than any confession he could have made. The fear in his eyes wasn't for himself. It was for our son. I turned away, clutching the edge of the door so tightly my knuckles whitened. "You should go, Damian. Please." He hesitated, then reached into his coat pocket and slid a folded paper across the threshold. "If anything happens, call that number. It's safe." Before I could reply, he walked away, disappearing into the misty drizzle like a ghost fading into its grave. For a long time, I stood there, listening to the sound of his footsteps echoing down the street until they vanished. Then I looked at the paper in my hand. It was damp and crumpled, but one thing stood out, a faint symbol at the corner. A black circle with a line through it. I'd seen it once before. On the envelope that came the week Damian disappeared. The one that told me to stop asking questions. A chill ran down my spine. Maybe the past hadn't ended. Maybe it had just been waiting for the right moment to begin again. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak in the walls, every gust of wind outside my window felt like footsteps. Slow, deliberate, watching. The number Damian had given me burned in my pocket, but pride wouldn't let me use it. I didn't want to admit that maybe, just maybe, he was telling the truth. London had a way of keeping secrets. It hid them in the fog, buried them in the alleys, whispered them through the cracks of old buildings. But that week, I learned that secrets don't stay buried forever. Not when they have your name written on them. 2 days after Damian's visit, I started noticing things. A man in a gray coat who stood too long by the cafe window. A black car parked opposite our apartment, engine off, lights dim. Once, when I picked Jamie up from school, I saw the same men again. Same coat, same stillness. He smiled at Jamie, not a friendly smile, a knowing one. That night, I double-locked every door. Jamie was asleep before 8. His tiny frame curled up like safety itself. I sat by the window, clutching my mug of tea, eyes scanning the street. I was tired of being scared, tired of running from a past I didn't even fully understand. Then, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. Noah. Just my name. No punctuation, no context. But I knew that voice. I would have recognized it even through static and years of silence. "Damian," he sighed on the other end. "You're being followed." My heart dropped. "What do you mean followed?" "You can't just. Don't panic. I'm already close." I stood, looking out the window, and there he was, across the street, under the faint orange glow of a streetlight. Black coat, hands in pockets, eyes scanning the shadows, my breath caught. "You're here. Stay inside," he said. "If they see me, they'll know you're still in contact." "Who are they?" I hissed, my voice trembling. "Damian, I deserve to know what's going on." There was a pause. The kind of silence that tells you the truth is heavier than the lie. "They were part of my old life," he finally said. "Private contractors. I took a job that went wrong. They lost money, a lot of it. I thought I'd covered my tracks. I was wrong." I swallowed hard. "And now they're after me." "They're after leverage," he said bitterly. "And what better leverage than the only two people I've ever cared about?" The line went dead. I pressed my forehead to the cold glass, trying to steady my breathing. The street was empty again. He was gone, like a shadow that only appeared to remind me of the danger I was in. The next morning, I kept Jamie home from school. I couldn't risk it. We stayed in, baking cookies and watching cartoons, pretending like life was normal. But when I stepped out later that evening to take the trash down, I found something waiting at the door. A single envelope. No name, no address, just the same black circle with a line through it. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a photo, grainy, taken from a distance. Jamie at the playground. Damian standing by the fence, watching him. On the back, a single line. "You can't hide him forever." I didn't realize I was crying until I felt the tears drip onto my hand. I ran to the kitchen, tearing the paper to pieces and throwing them into the sink. My heart pounded so loud I could barely hear my own thoughts. I didn't have a choice anymore. I picked up my phone and dialed the number Damian gave me. He answered on the first ring. I told you to wait for my call. They know where we live, I shouted. They left a photo of Jamie. Damian, what do I do? Pack a bag, he said instantly. Only essentials. Don't tell anyone where you're going. Where are we going? There was a brief silence. Then, somewhere safe. I've got a place outside the city. Within 30 minutes, we were gone. Jamie slept in my arms in the backseat as Damian drove through the empty streets, headlights cutting through the mist. His hands gripped the steering wheel tightly. Not like a man driving, but like someone holding on to control for dear life. You should have told me everything from the start, I said quietly. I was trying to keep you safe, he replied. Eyes on the road. And now we're running again, I whispered. Not forever, he said. Just until I finish what they started. The silence that followed was heavy, not awkward, just full of everything we hadn't said in years. The apologies, the anger, the heartbreak, it was all there, between the lines of exhaustion and regret. By the time we reached the edge of the city, the first light of dawn was breaking. Damian pulled into a secluded cabin by the woods. Simple, quiet, hidden. It looked nothing like him. And yet, somehow, it made sense. He parked and turned to me. You can rest here. There's food, heat, security. No one will find you. I stared at him, searching his face for the truth. And you? He hesitated. I'm going to end this. No, once and for all. Something in his voice scared me more than the men chasing us. You're not planning on. He cut me off with a tired smile. I'm just tired of running. As he stepped out into the morning fog, something inside me broke. Maybe it was the fear of losing him again, or maybe it was finally realizing that no matter how much I tried to hate him, love had never really left. I watched him disappear into the mist, heart pounding in my chest. And this time, I wasn't sure if the danger was outside, or the way he still made me feel inside. The cabin was too quiet after he left. Jamie slept in the small room upstairs, wrapped in a blanket that smelled faintly of lavender and smoke. I sat by the window, watching the trees sway under a pale London dawn, wondering if this was what safety felt like. The sound of my own heartbeat, too loud in the silence. Hours crawled by. No messages, no calls. I told myself Damian would come back. He always did. But a small voice inside me whispered, not this time. By afternoon, the storm returned, thunder rolling like an old threat. I paced the wooden floor, every creak under my feet sounding like a warning. Then, through the sheets of rain, I saw headlights cutting through the trees. 2 cars, not Damian's. My chest tightened. Jamie, baby, wake up. He stirred, sleepy-eyed, clutching his tow truck. Mama, shh. I lifted him, my arms trembling. We barely reached the back door when a knock thundered against the front, once, twice. Then a voice I didn't know. No avail. Open the door. They knew my name. I ran to the kitchen, heart pounding, grabbing the small knife from the counter. Useless, but it made me feel less powerless. Footsteps crunched outside, a shadow passed the window. Then gunfire. Not at me. At them. I froze, clutching Jamie tighter. When the noise stopped, I heard a single voice calling out through the rain. Low, hoarse, and familiar. Noah. It's me. I opened the door just enough to see him. Damian, soaked in rain, bruised, a cut bleeding down his cheek. He leaned against the frame, gun in one hand, pain in his eyes. They found us, he said softly, but not anymore. I helped him inside, locking the door behind us. He staggered toward the wall, dropping the gun with a clatter. It's over, he whispered. I told you I'd end it. I wanted to be angry, to yell, to remind him of every night I'd spent afraid because of his choices. But when I looked at him, shivering, blood on his hands, eyes still full of that impossible love, all I saw was the man who'd fought for us in the only way he knew how. Damian, I said quietly, kneeling in front of him, you don't have to keep saving me, just stay this time. He laughed weakly, head falling against the wall. You think I know how to stay? You can learn, I whispered. Something broke in him then. The armor he'd worn for years cracked open, and what spilled out wasn't power or control. It was exhaustion, regret, love. He reached for me, fingers brushing mine. I never wanted to hurt you. I thought leaving would protect you. I shook my head, tears mixing with rain. Love doesn't protect by disappearing, it protects by showing up. For the first time in years, Damian cried. Not the quiet kind, the kind that shakes you apart and rebuilds you at once. I held him as the storm raged outside, as the danger that had hunted us finally washed away into the sound of rain. 2 weeks later, the city felt different. London's grey had softened, and the morning sun spilled over the skyline like forgiveness. Jamie ran ahead of us in the park, his laughter echoing between the trees. Damian walked beside me, his hand brushing mine, tentative, like a man reeling touch. The bruises had faded, the walls between us, too. He stopped near the pond, watching Jamie toss stones into the water. I used to think strength was about control, he said, but it's not. It's about choosing to be gentle, even when you could destroy everything. I smiled faintly. And what do you choose now? He looked at me. Really looked. The way he used to, before everything fell apart. You. Him. Whatever peace we can build from what's left. When he said it, I believed him. That night, we went home. Our home. The little apartment that once held so much fear now smelled of dinner and laughter. Jamie fell asleep between us, his small hand resting on Damian's chest. I lay awake, listening to the quiet rhythm of their breathing. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of what the future might bring. Because sometimes, even when shadows chase the heart, love still finds a way to lead it back into the light. In the end, it wasn't the danger that defined us, it was how we survived it, together.